I often see so many women who get caught up in relationships where this guy has changed so much and he is dogging her out really badly, but because he was so great at the beginning, she's sticking around, hoping that he will come back, not understanding that he was never who he was in the beginning. You were dating his representative. Yo, party people, it's Ashley of SingleWomanChronicles.com, where being single is a beautiful choice rather than a miserable circumstance. And please excuse my raspy voice. I was really outside this weekend, and I don't know if I was yelling or like singing the music at the top of my lungs, but my voice is just very raspy right now, and it's really fighting for its life. Okay. So here we are. So today's episode, I actually wanted to talk about it just because we are often dating someone's representative. I mean, oftentimes we're a representative. Like, we're only showing our representative self. We're not showing our full self to a person when we're first dating them, right? But I think the issue comes when that clean, polished person you pretend to be is actually not who you are at all. It's one thing because, of course, you want to be the best version of yourself. And oftentimes, of course, upfront when you're dating, right? But the issue again comes when you're pretending versus when you're just presenting the best version of yourself, if that makes sense. The reason I felt this episode topic was important because I often see so many women who get caught up in relationships where this guy has changed so much and he is dogging her out really badly, but because he was so great at the beginning, she's sticking around, hoping that he will come back, not understanding that he was never who he was in the beginning. You were dating his representative. So you're waiting for his representative to return when that representative will never return because he already has you where he wants you right now. And you have to just face the facts that that person that you started dating in the beginning, that was never who he was. Who he was is who he's acting like right now. So I think it's important to understand if you were dating a representative. I also see scenarios where women will get out of relationships and a guy will dog them out, or a guy will kind of like ghost them or just do something crazy, right? And so you feel like, oh my God, I did something to make them mad, and they turn, and you'll feel like that's the one that got away, when in reality, no. They just probably set up a scenario where you felt like they were just this great person, but all in the whole entire time, they were not the person you thought they were. Okay. So hopefully I'm making sense. Now, this is so random because what supports this topic is I was watching the movie Preacher's Kid, I believe, with LaToya Luckett and not Tyrese Lord. I'm getting old. Just be naming the wrong folks. I was watching the movie Preacher's Kid with Tank and LaToya Luckett and Essence Atkins and that other guy, I can't think of his name. He played Pinky in Next Friday, but he was in the movie. But so in the beginning, he was all super nice, and he didn't necessarily love bomb her. In my opinion, he just was like really nice and charming. But what he did was he complimented her a lot. He knew she was a church girl, so he took her to church. He made her feel special. He stood up for her in certain situations. So she felt like he was this nice, devoted guy who was just super nice. But then in an instant, he switched and he started being abusive. He started downing her, insulting her every chance he got. He started showing new women would come around and he would have these women in her face. I'm sorry, I should have said spoiler alert if you haven't seen that movie. It's really old. It's over a decade old. But he just started doing that, and she was just so confused because she was trying, of course, she was already gone because in the beginning he wasn't like that. But he even made the comment because somebody asked him, like, why are you dogging her out like that? They said it's the oldest trick in the book. You know, it's a pimp move. Treat her really nice in the beginning, but then start dogging her out and she'll be begging for you to treat her better because of what she experienced in the beginning, right? And of course, his case is extreme, but this still happens today, but it just happens on the date in the data sphere, right? So when you're dating someone and then you just feel like they're just such this great person, and then you start noticing that they're not treating you as well, they're being weird with you, and then you have to ask yourself, like, were they really a nice person or was I dating their representative? So today I want to talk about the signs that you were actually dating a person's representative versus this is just who they are and maybe they, you know, fell out of like with you. You know, it happens. You get to know people and you realize, okay, they're just not aligned with what I'm doing. That doesn't mean that there's something wrong with them, but they're just not aligned with what I want. And that's a-okay because, baby, not everybody got good taste. You're not going to win them all. Every person you encounter, you're not going to like, and they're not going to all like you. But there's a difference in that versus a representative, right? So I think the number one sign is if a person is a conditional gentleman. So a conditional gentleman is a person who is only nice under certain conditions. These are the men who treat women they are not attracted to different than they treat a woman they are attracted to, right? Because if you're a good person, you're a good person to everybody. But if you're a conditional gentleman, you're only good to people under certain conditions. And oftentimes, men who show up as their representative first, they're only nice to you under certain conditions. Like, they're only nice to you when they're feeling you, when you're making them happy, when you're doing everything they want you to do. But as soon as you make a mistake, as soon as something goes awry, they're different. I got so many scenarios on this alone. Conditional gentlemen. I can give y'all a few, but I'm going to give y'all one on the good side and I want to give y'all one on the bad side. I'm going to start with the bad side first. So this is how I knew this guy I was dating his representative and he wasn't all he was cracked up to be. So we connected because we're both believers. We're both goal oriented. We're both visionaries. We're both like ambitious, fighting for our dreams, etc., etc. And we're both educated, intelligent, have great conversation. And I thought he had good character. Like, I thought he was a quote unquote good person. Now, when I say good person, I'm always measuring that from a moral compass that's kind of based biblically most of the time because I'm a Christian. So it's usually going to be those fruits of the spirit, you know, love, kindness, self-control, slow to anger, etc., etc., right? So long story short, me and him had been talking really strong for like 2 weeks, and I'm giving y'all the time frame because it went down so fast and I realized, like, oh my God, he's a conditional gentleman. But we had been talking like all day, every day. Y'all know how it is when you start talking to that person and y'all got good conversation, because it's hard to find good conversation out here. Sadly, I don't know about y'all, but a lot of these folks don't have substance. So it'd be a struggle to find someone who can actually keep your attention in a conversation. But anyway, we were talking every day, all day, texting all day long, talking on the phone. We had went on one date. The date was great. Cool, cool, cool. We want to see each other soon. Instantly saw each other like 2 days later. So something went awry where he felt like I did something wrong. I did not feel like I did something wrong, but that's neither here nor there. But I ended up going to our second date, and what was I going to say? I ended up going to our second date and I was late and I could not find the place. And so I'm calling him because my GPS is telling me it's this way and it's not. It was just a lot. And so I'm calling him, and instead of being helpful, he's being very mean to me. He's like hanging up in my face. I'm like, hey, I don't know where it is. Can you drop the pin? And he's getting impatient. He's just like, what are you talking about? Like, ain't it here? Blah, blah, blah. And I remember like the third time I called him, because I really couldn't find the place, instead of him staying on the phone with me, he like hung up after he answered the question and just hung up. And I'm just like, whoa, that's crazy. Like, you're really being mean, because I feel like a good person wouldn't do that. Because honestly, in the moment, I'm just thinking, giving him the benefit of the doubt, like maybe he's agitated, maybe he's hangry, whatever. But when I call my homeboy about it, it's so good to have that platonic male friend who know how men think, that can help you out on like what they would do, etc., etc. So of course I call him like, hey homie, what's up? Like, this is the scenario, this is what happened. And he's like, oh no, that's a sucker move. I don't care if I'm agitated with a woman. I'm so big a stickler on if a woman gets somewhere safely. So the fact that he did not even care that you got somewhere safely, that is insane. That means that that brother ain't it. And what's crazy is, he knew him, like, because we all went to school together. And so he knew the guy I was talking about. He was like, I ain't gonna lie to you, I think dude is a cool person, but I wouldn't date him if I was you, because he just don't seem emotionally stable. That's literally the words he said. He was like, that nigga ain't emotionally stable. So basically, this nice guy that he presented, this guy who prays, this guy who is just such a man who takes care of women, blah blah blah. It was all a fraud. It was all a lie. It was all a lie, because he was a conditional gentleman. So I had been dating his representative. So I have this ability. It's really not my ability, I believe, is God. But anytime I meet someone, I always say, God, if this person is for me, let them stay. But if they are not, let them go away very quickly. And God is very serious about that, because every time they be falling off, I see people's cracks get revealed to me really early and really quickly. I'm going to talk about that, because that's another thing. That's how you know someone's a representative, because their cracks will show. But in this scenario, I was able to see who they really were, because any man will tell you how a man treats you when he is upset says a lot. So really pay attention to that. How do y'all overcome things? So now I'm about to tell y'all a good side. This is how I knew I was dating a guy with good character. It was just bad timing. I feel like he was going through a divorce. Well, he was already divorced, but like it had only been like a year and some change. And I feel like he was still grieving that, and he was trying to move. It was just a lot going on, but I do believe that he was a good person. He was a genuine person. So, and this is how I know I wasn't dating his representative, y'all. So there was a night we went out the first time that I landed in his city, because he didn't live here. And so I landed in his city and we were going out and everything's fun. I ended up having a little too many. So the next day I was very sick. Like, I was very hungover. And long story short, y'all, I threw up on this man. Yes, I know, insane. I know. But long story short, I was coming off the elevator in his building and I felt the vial rise up within my tummy. So I immediately dipped down, because I'm trying to catch it from coming out. So I dipped down and I'm holding my mouth. If y'all not watching this, but like I literally got my hand over my mouth and I'm dipped down. And so I'm trying to keep it from going, because I know if I take another step, it's a wrap. But he comes by me and he's over me and he tries to like lift me up. Y'all, as soon as he tried to lift me up so I could take another walk, I threw up again and it spewed everywhere. And some of it got on him. And I was just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. So this is my first time meeting this guy, because we met on a dating app. This was years ago, but we met on a dating app. I went out to see him, and this is my first time meeting him. And he had picked me up from my hotel and I'm all sick, still trying to vibe, still trying to hang out. And I ended up throwing up on this man. And so I'm apologizing, but he was just like, don't even worry about it. I got it. So he went into like cleanup mode. So he cleaned it up, and then he brought me extra clothes so I could change it to his clothes so I can shower and like get the throw up off of me. And yeah, so later on, we still ended up going to dinner. And so when he's driving me, he looks at me and started laughing. He was like, I really like you, because nobody has ever thrown up on me and I'm still rocking with you. But what I noticed was, yes, in that moment when, The throw up hit him. Of course he was annoyed. Of course he was mad. Of course all of this, but he didn't change his character. Like, he still cleaned it up, which he didn't have to because I was going to do it. He was like, no, good. He still made sure I was straight. That was the first thing. He was like, I want to make sure you're good. So he gave me clothes to change into. He was like, get out of these clothes. I'm going to clean it up. We good. He didn't cancel the date later. Like, that's how you know you're not dealing with a representative. This is who he is. He is a good person. He's a nice person. He's a stand-up guy. Because under those situations, a lot of dudes would have been like, oh, it's over. I'm kicking her out. Because I called my friend like, y'all, this man about to drop me off back at this hotel and zoom off, and I ain't never gonna hear from him again. Like, I knew I messed up. But no, it wasn't like that at all. We still vibed out. We still went out that night. And then the next day, we spent that day together too. So it was nothing. So that's how you will know if maybe you dated someone's representative, because you notice that as soon as something went awry, or you told them no, or you didn't do something they wanted you to do, then they switched on you. And they haven't gone back to that other person since. And a lot of these fools will switch up on you, drop you, ghost you, and then come back months later as if nothing happened. And because they just unstable. They just unstable in their emotions. What dude from Baby Boy say? They some unstable creatures. Like some unstable creatures. The second thing, I'm sorry, I'm reading notes. This is a huge one. Okay, so usually when people are giving you their representative, they're doing it because, it's not always the case, but in most cases, they're doing it because they want something from you, and they feel like if I can be the representative until I get it, then I can switch it off once I get it. So this is why, like, nowadays you hear a lot of dating coaches say things like, don't tell a guy what you really want. Don't tell a guy the type of guy you like, because he will be that person until he gets what he wants, right? So I have another scenario where I was dating a guy's representative, and he was like super nice, but he was a little love bomby. The reason I say he was love bomby, because after our first hangout, he was like, I want to be in a relationship. I want you to be my girl. And I'm like, nigga, we only hung out once. Like, you cool, you cute and everything, but that's a little quick. So he kept kind of pressuring me into doing it or whatever. And that was just weird, but he was still cool. So I was still allowing like us to talk. But like, then I finally said yes, just because I was tired of him bothering me. And I was like, whatever, if it don't work, I could just break up with this nigga. It's not a big deal. Like, whatever. And y'all, this relationship, I don't even count it. Like, I do not count it. But it lasted for like 2 weeks. Like, it lasted for like 2 weeks. I'm going to tell y'all what I think happened. This is my theory. So he's super nice, because this was a 3-month situation. So the first month, he's super nice. He's sending me money for lunch, for getting my hair done, nails. It's like stuff like that. He's super nice. And he's just like, I like you so much. All this love bombing stuff, right? And then the second month, it kind of slowed down, which I understand, because when you first start talking to someone, of course, there's like those heavy emotions, y'all inseparable or whatever. But then when life starts hitting you and you kind of get out of that, you know, those rose-colored glasses, you go back to normal. So I noticed like, okay, he was a little bit distant. I felt like I kind of had to like do a little bit more contacting him than I would have liked to, because I believe in reciprocity. Like, if you are giving me attention, I'm going to give you attention too. I'll reach out too. Like, I don't believe in that whole, oh, woman needs to only be chased. But I do feel like he wasn't doing what he was doing at first. But I was giving him the benefit of the doubt. But then around that second month is when I said, yeah, I'll be your girl. Well, he started acting real funny as soon as I said yes to being his girl, because I feel like he got what he wanted. The second issue was because I am celibate. I guess he thought if I can get her into a relationship quickly, then that means that she's going to give me the draws. But he did not realize that I'm not that girl. Like, I'm not the girl who's telling you I'm celibate just to say it because it sounds cute. No, I've been on this journey for 7 years. Like, I'm for real. And I think he realized I was for real, because as soon as he realized I was for real, he was trying to jump ship. The reason I know he was trying to jump ship was because I caught him talking to other women and entertaining other women on social media. And that's when I cut it off. But it's just like, you were a representative because you thought that if you would play this part of the guy who really wants a woman, who really wants you to be Because I know she wants marriage, so let me hurry up and speed up the process to get her into a relationship, because she may not, she may break if she's in a relationship, you know, instead of waiting to marriage. And it was like, no, boo boo, that's not what we're doing. That's not what's going on around here. So what you want to look for is, what does this person really want from me? Do they want all of me, or do they want something from me? Because guess what? If they want something from you, a lot of times they're going to act like a certain person to get it. So you have to kind of see, like, does this person want all of me? And you can tell that by, like, how much is that person trying to get to know you? What conversations are y'all having? Are y'all having deep conversations about the future? Or is he only telling you that your booty fat and you looking thick today, and you real pretty, and it's always surfacey? You can tell a lot by the conversations y'all are having. If they are not conversations that are including you in his future, then what are we talking about? You know what I mean? So really pay attention to that, because oftentimes if a guy doesn't want all of you, and it's a lot of stuff gearing towards surfacey stuff, then that's an issue. I probably need to do a whole episode on that too, just on like how to identify what a guy really wants from you. Cause I mean, let me write that down, cause I'm gonna forget, y'all. My brain don't be braining lately. If y'all listening, I'm really writing it down. All right, and then the last one, the last sign I would say is pay attention to the cracks. People show cracks in their representative all the time, but I feel like we skip over it because we talk a lot about red flags, but people notice red flags all the time and ignore them. When I tell you every time, like the most recent debacle that I keep talking about because I just think it's so hilarious and insane, was the guy who got mad at me because I had on a Black Women Matter shirt, like literally spazzed on me because I had on a Black Women Matter shirt. But before he spazzed on me about that, I saw cracks in his character. Like I saw cracks in the representative, because he was trying to present as this calm, cool, and collected guy who was like all super healed. But sometimes he would go on tangents and I would think like, that nigga look crazy. And he was. So you gotta pay attention to the cracks, because oftentimes little actions, little behaviors can reveal big revelations. But I think sometimes we overlook these things because we're just so into our emotions and our feelings. But it's like, no, you have to pay attention to that. Like, look at those small things. Look at those intricate things that made you feel a little weird in the beginning, because oftentimes that's going to be the teller of what's going on. Like, seriously, how that person handles conflict, how that person handles other people they're mad at. Because guess what, baby? You can be that person. Ooh, thank you, Holy Spirit. How that person talks about women before you. I remember dating this guy who would like dog women out that he dated prior to me. And I was younger, in my 20s, and like I really wasn't paying attention to that, because I'm just like, well, he fine and these women probably crazy, blah blah blah. But guess who was next up to be dogged out? Haha, me. Because look at how he was talking to the women talking about the women prior to me. He was dogging them out, so guess what? He gonna dog me out as soon as I'm going. He gonna tell everybody I was the worst thing ever, when really it's him. Like, so pay attention to that. Pay attention to how they talk to people on the phone. Pay attention to how they treat the random strangers that have nothing. You know what I mean? Like, are they just a kind person? You gotta look at their interactions with people, because oftentimes we get so caught up on how much that person likes you, how much that person's giving you attention, that you are not paying attention to the wholeness of who they are. Because I want to marry someone who is great to everybody. It don't matter what, no matter how mad they are, no matter how this person, like, no, they're nice to everyone. Are they nice to the waitress? Are they nice to the Uber driver? Are they not? You know what I mean? Like, that's what I want. And so you got to pay attention to those cracks, because when you don't pay attention to them cracks, like, you're going to end up dating somebody representative and you're going to be sad 3 months later because either you stayed in a relationship and they dogging you out and you still trying to get them to act like who they acted like in the beginning when the person in the beginning was never who they really were, or you're going to end up sad crying on somebody's couch because you're going to be wondering, oh my God, I'm so flawed. What's wrong with me? Why don't they act? Why did they ghost me? Why did they do me like that? And they're treating this new girl better than they treating me because for some reason you feel like just because this person is in a new relationship that he done changed. That nigga ain't changed. He the same thing. You just seeing the representative again. She's meeting the representative because the core of who someone is not going to change from relationship to relationship. The same dog they were to you, they going to be to the next girl. I promise you, boo-boo. I promise you. And I know this for a fact because I'm a girl who has been contacted by women who have dated men after me. And guess what I found? They act the same with other women too. Like, so until a man is ready to just be a good man, until a man is ready to fully be themselves, then you just gonna keep dating a representative. And I know back in the day, like, I feel like a lot of me, I dated from the representative because I was afraid to show the fullness of who I was because I dealt with self-worth issues. I felt like, okay, the woman that everyone wants doesn't act like this. So I shouldn't be this goofy girl. I shouldn't be this super smart girl. I shouldn't be this. I should be a little bit more meek. I should be a little bit more prissy and all of this like that. When true deep down inside, I'm country. I also grew up in College Park. I'm very goofy. I'm very smart. I'm very opinionated. And I low-key act like a nigga sometimes. And I'm okay with that. But I wasn't before. So I would give off my representative. And that got draining. So if you're a person who I know we talking about how to signs to recognize someone else's when they're like, you've been dating a representative. But also love yourself enough to show people who you actually are. I'm not saying to just be super vulnerable, give too much too soon, because I have a whole blog about that, how giving too much too soon is self-sabotage. The reason being is because when you're like confessing all of your flaws up front, you're doing that from a place of, I want to let them know just in case they want to leave, they can leave. But no, it puts you in a vulnerable spot. No. So I'm not telling you to give too much information too soon, but I am telling you to show up as who you are. You know what I mean? Like, for example, I remember I would not FaceTime guys unless I got my hair done, my makeup done, etc., etc. Like, say I met someone out of town or I met someone on a dating app, I would feel like, oh, in order for me to FaceTime them, I need to show them like the best me. But then I had a friend who ended up getting engaged, and like the first time she FaceTimed this man, she had on a bonnet. And I was just shocked by that. But then it made me understand, like, wow, like, if you show up as totally who you are, the right person gonna receive that. And that's just what it is. And I know for so many years, I was afraid to be opinionated. I was afraid to speak on things because I had so many insecure guys in my past who made me feel like I talked too much or I was too opinionated or I was too strong. And all in all, it's like, no, nigga, you too weak. That's what that is. So I said nigga a lot more than I usually do on this episode, but I'm just feeling myself today, and I just feel like y'all need to hear it. I'm working on not saying nigga no more, but it just slides off the tongue. But yeah, so just be, what am I trying to say? Who you are is always going to be enough for the right people. Period. You may not get every guy because nobody's going to get every guy. You might not get all the guys you really liked or whatever, but it could be protection because sometimes rejection is God's protection. And I know it sounds cliche, but it's real because y'all don't even know how many stories I got where I felt rejected, but then later on down the line realized, oh, that nigga was crazy. So, but let me recap on the signs that you're dating his representative. Number one, he's a conditional gentleman. He's only a gentleman when he feel like being a gentleman, not all the time. A guy who has good character, and that's who they actually are, guess what? They're going to always be a gentleman. Number two, you got to understand what they really want you for. Do they want all of you, or do they want a piece of you, or do they want something from you? Because usually if they only want one thing from you, they're going to be their representative. They're not going to fully be themselves. And number three, pay attention to the cracks. How do they treat other people? If they treat other people like trash, but they only treat you nicely, then guess who's next to be treated like trash? You're next. Okay? All right. So, I feel like another episode, I'll probably talk about dating for character over chemistry, because, baby, we got to get over this character, because I was just talking about that with some people, just about how, like, the guys who you date, where the guys who make your coochie go whoop whoop, like, as soon as you step into him, as soon as you see him, kind of like a Kofi Cerebo. When I see him, my coochie be like, ooh wee, but I know that's not right. That's lust. That's lust. That's not real interest for real. That's lust. So I think sometimes we can be so overtaken by the chemistry of a situation, we're not paying attention to someone's character. So it's like, how do you identify those good character traits, and what are good character traits in someone who could be a potential partner in the future? So definitely want to do an episode on that. But until next time, y'all, like, comment, and share. Be sure to subscribe. If you're going to leave me a review on Spotify or on Amazon Music or on Apple Music, it needs to be 5 stars. If it's less than 5 stars, keep your little comment to yourself, because I don't want to hear it. La la la. But if you got some critique, email me. But don't be messing up my score. Don't be messing up my 5 stars, please. Don't do that. But all right, y'all. Till next time. Bye.